Present.
Blackwell. Guthrie.
Present.
Yossi.
Present.
LaPlante.
Present.
Tonight's meeting is a continued discussion of the 27 city budget. Again, this should be a high-level look. SCE staff has done a good job of putting this together for us. I think, Ray, you are up.
All right, hit me. My budget's pretty simple, as most of you know. About the only thing I've got going this year is the state of Iowa's adopted 2024 I-codes, so I may be ordering some books, a few $100 to update the specific codes that we need to update. I am coordinating with Davenport, Bettendorf, and Scott County, and we're looking at a June 1st enforcement date for those things, but we always try to work together so that the contractors aren't having to figure out every time I cross a jurisdictional line, I gotta change codes. So we try to do that as best we can.
Raymond, for his budget, he's gonna be the page right after police department and general fund. There will be fire and inspections. Sorry, just wanted to. Go ahead.
All right. So dues and licenses, that's your typical Iowa Illinois Building Officials Association where I get training, and then the Iowa Association of Building Officials for their training. I have to have 62 hours of training every 3 years for my certifications, and with those two, I don't have to travel any farther than Des Moines one time a year to get the certifications that I need for my research every 3 years. About the cheapest way I found to do it. Books and manuals, we talked about that. The schools, that's the training in Des Moines. And then vehicle fuel, office supplies, and administration. That's it. That's my massive budget. Any questions on budget?
It's a great presentation. Ray, do you ever see a need for part-time help in the summer?
Scott County did part-time help in the summer quite a bit. And with the exception of one individual that ended up being hired by Eldridge, I don't think they ever had any good luck with it.
Who might that be, Ray?
Well, outside of the public, I can talk to you about some of the things that I'm aware of that happened there with different individuals, but I know that Bob Buck always felt like he spent more time trying to train people than he did getting help from them. And for now, contractors are working with me pretty good. I've got 6 houses sitting on my desk. 2 of them want to get going. I've done the review on their site plan, so I know that they're good where they're going to put it. And I'm going to cut them loose until I can get to finishing their permits.
Didn't you have almost 75 starts last year?
We had 76 starts last year, and with the 6 on my desk, we've got 18 already this year. So and 76, I think the old all-time high was 62.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
So yeah, I think that was in 2013 or something.
But we get one big complex in, and that's gonna add.
Yeah, and that doesn't count multifamily. So the year that they did 84 units over here, that didn't count towards single family. You know, they did, 3 years ago, they did 55 units on North 4th. That doesn't count those units either, so.
Ray, I don't remember if this is a memory that was accurate or not, but I thought we maybe talked last year. Is there any opportunities for some internships? I know we discussed last year that you're the longest standing inspector in the Quad City area, and
I don't know how I
find
got to be the
successors.
old guy, but it happened. So, everybody that I used to call for help, they're not in it anymore, and I'm getting all the calls, so.
All right, that's kind of what I was.
Weird.
Yeah, I mean, would you know of anybody that you could reach out to schools or something that?
Off the record, I've talked to a couple of people who may be interested, but I've also talked to Jeff in Nevada. I turned 61 in 10 days, but I'm not sure that I'm going to retire at 62 simply because the city of Eldridge is doing very well. I work 7 to 3:30. I don't have the employees. I get to work directly with my contractors, so problems are easy to solve. And I really like the way things are going now. So looking at and talking with my wife and telling her, you know, the worst thing that could happen would be I retire, get bored, and I had to go back and work in a bike shop for $15 an hour. So, not that I wouldn't enjoy working in a bike shop, but I could do that in my house. So yeah. So I think before I would recommend to this council that we start looking at an internship, I would need to make a final decision on when I'm gonna retire, and right now it looks like I'm gonna stick around for a little while.
Well, the other part of the internship, I mean, is not that we have to hire for elders necessarily, but the Quad City area. And what better person to help train interns, even if they would go and work for Scott County or Davenport, is they're getting some experience from
Yeah,
one of the best in the area.
It's hard because, and this is something that Scott County found out, if you're looking for someone to be a building inspector, you're looking for somebody who probably needs a full-time job. And so when you start pulling in somebody at part-time, sometimes the hours they put in aren't enough to stay fully immersed in the industry, and things get lost, things get confused. I talked to Jeff about it, we've talked about it, but at this point, and I may even be being a little selfish, at this point, I just think it would be easier if I just went ahead and worked through another year, even though I think we're gonna be pretty busy. And then towards the end of this year, if I decide I'm gonna retire at 63, then we can decide if we wanna bring somebody in 3 months, 6 months, or something like that.
Well, I'm thinking more of like somebody in the trades over at the high school, in the program that builds houses, to have like a ride along with you for 6 weeks during the summer, just to get them introduced to what a building inspector does.
Similar to what we had with our intern.
100%.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's,
Just to get these, because some kids have no idea what they want to do.
Yeah.
Even after they graduate
Yeah.
high school, they don't know, and then they get into college, they still don't know for the first 2 years. If they had an opportunity
Yeah.
for 6 or 8 weeks,
Oh,
they
that's
might
interesting.
change their direction.
I'm saying promote the job you do,
Yeah,
the industry of it.
well, that's pretty interesting.
We're gonna try to push you up the door, not quite yet.
No, I'm talking about giving
No, but,
a young person
well, and I just-
exposure to,
I kind of wonder if the Home Builders Association and Iowa, our local inspector organization, would be interested in maybe helping us with that, and they might even be able to provide maybe some type of a scholarship that would help pay the intern even a little bit for the time that they're here.
That's interesting.
And then looking at that, if the intern's out meeting contractors and getting to know them a little bit, at the end of his intern, it's possible that he could pick up a gig doing some kind of work in the industry, knowing that being an inspector is also an option, and that could come around for him again. So,
Well, Quad Cities needs it.
yeah,
Remember, we've been short how many years now?
yeah,
So,
well, I'm thinking, do we have somebody in the high school where they build a house that's 18 years old, we're gonna be 18, that's gonna be in school another year, or part of that, just to give them more exposure to the industry. Now, the downside of that would be is if you had somebody like that accompanying you, it could slow you down a little bit.
well, they're very active with the building program at North Scott Schools, and if we approach them with the idea of having, maybe the teacher picks someone to spend their internship with me, I mean, maybe that's something we could look at too. There's a lot of options there. Huh?
I'm just trying to think down the line, 5 years from now,
Yeah,
give exposure to the building inspector profession to some young individual.
yeah. Well, and that would probably raise interest in other ways, as you mentioned.
Right.
So, yeah. How long you got left on this board?
3 more years.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
So you got 3 more years of being a building inspector. Well, 3.5 officially.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I don't plan on doing much my last half, so.
Any other questions of Ray? Great job, Ray.
That's right.
All right,
Thanks for coming out tonight, appreciate that. Yvette, I think you're up next with administration and finance. And I believe the last 2 pages of the general fund thing, or anything?
Yes, so we'll jump back and just kind of run through revenues real quick and go through the smaller funds in the general fund that don't get covered by the department heads. Just a quick overview of the general fund revenues. We've already talked about some of this. Our combined general fund levy revenue growth was limited and reduced by about 1%. We are at tier 2 this year. There's no more commercial and industrial backfill that ended last year in fiscal year 26. The residential rollback went from 47.43% in fiscal year 26 to 44.53% in fiscal year 27. And the IPERS employer contribution remains at 9.44%. With the operating expenses that are put into the general fund at this point, without any of the supplemental items being considered, there is $217,823 left that can be allocated to projects or equipment out of the general fund specifically.
I would just stick a portion of that in equipment replacement for now. Or whatever number, then if we have to use that to balance at the end, we can. But our equipment replacement's down to about 0.
Do we want to move that now, or do you want to wait and get through all the funds and decide if there's something specific you want to put that towards?
I think we can wait, maybe, what's the rest of the council think?
Yeah, I think it makes sense to wait. We don't have a full picture yet.
Scott?
Yeah, I think let's get the end and see what we have, the most important place to go to.
Brian?
That's fine.
Adrian?
It's nice to know that we have that leverage, so I'm okay with saying it.
Good idea, Brian, we'll wait and
I'm okay with that, but I'm also okay with sticking 40 or 50,000, in case something comes up that we have to replace during this. We have money out there. So
Okay.
when we get all the way through it, but that's a good place for it.
okay, perfect. Anything else during that?
Nope, we can move on to fire department expenditures. That's the 001150 account. This year, we are looking at and proposing $304,406. That would be $76,000 per quarter, and that would be to match the 0.60750 levy rate that the county provides to the benefited fire district each year under state statute. So it appears that is what the original contributions were when the partnership was created. So getting back to that, we would be looking at $304,400 this year, and projecting around about $60,000 again for half of the gas franchise fees for the year. Moving on to.
Nevada, with the fire department in this year's budget, we allocated 40,000 for capital expenditure over there. Have you had any conversation with them on that?
We are still talking with them about what the funding request would be for the year, but with any of the supplemental amounts being held out, aside from the operating or the required amounts, I haven't plugged anything that was considered additional into the budget yet.
I mean, because technically, they could finish off their upstairs over there with that 40,000 in this year's budget.
Any thoughts? I mean, I think we got ways to go yet with the fire department.
We've got to finish those discussions, and I think tomorrow hopefully we'll help bring things more together, but we're not close enough right now to even make a decision on what we're doing with that 40,000. That's the least of my concerns. I think we need to figure out the rest of the finances and what direction we're gonna do.
Well, it's earmarked in this year's budget that ends June 31. So if they don't spend it, it goes back to the general fund.
Although we can choose to accrue it, I assume, and carry it over, can we not?
In the budget, it's showing towards future fire department capital and personnel, so it was going into like a capital fund, not being transferred to them directly.
So, okay, fair.
Or you can just carry that same 40,000 over.
That's what I was asking, exactly.
Yeah, but there definitely has been discussions about finishing, regardless how it turns out, about getting that upstairs finished.
Right.
And how we would, or could creatively finance that.
Well, we already have 40,000 allocated for that,
And that's specifically what that was intended for?
for capital improvements over there.
For whatever we got.
For personnel.
Gotcha, okay. Or for.
Okay, and we went through all of the street department funds when Tony was here, so the next one we would take a look at is the 001410, that's for the county library. They provide to us each year what the per capita rate is going to be that each city needs to contribute. For us, the contributions increased in fiscal year 27 from 42.8229 in fiscal year 26 up to 44.3217 per capita for fiscal year 27, which puts us at 298,108 for fiscal year 27.
For you new guys, do you know how they do that?
Nope, feel free to give us some context.
So the library board does their budget, and then they break that down per capita, and then our population that we had from the last census number is over that per capita number from their budget.
Okay.
So actually, this is gonna go up every 10 years.
It's based on the budget the library board comes up with against the population.
It usually has an increase every year of at least a little bit.
I think what you're saying is it resets every census year.
Yeah, it's gonna go up, yeah.
For the per capita, yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
But if their budget didn't change, then it would have been the same as last year.
Right.
Are they bound by that 2% also?
I do not know.
Bound by 2%.
If the legislature sets 2%?
I don't believe that the county is, because they don't have a combined general fund levy necessarily, so they have, but they do have guidelines that they have to follow for what they can levy. Okay, next fund would be the community development, which is 001599. That's the fund that Jeff is paid out of for community development. So his wages are in there at the 3%. Two of the bigger items that to focus on this year for fiscal year 27 budget is the Grow Quad Cities service level agreement. That is what was formerly our building and economic development services that were provided. It's the Quad Cities Chamber. That has now become Grow Quad Cities, which we have a board seat on, so we do have a vote on that board for the services that they provide. We meet monthly. That service agreement is going up to $1.89 per capita for fiscal year 27. Fiscal year 26 was at $1.69 per capita. So last year we paid about $11,760. This year we're looking at $12,650 for that agreement. If we choose going forward to not renew the agreement in an upcoming fiscal year, we have to put that in writing and terminate that agreement 120 days before June 1st.
Is that beneficial to keep, you feel?
What was that?
Is that beneficial to keep?
Yes, yeah, they do help a lot with promoting and advocating for our sites for development and helping us connect with state resources to figure out what we can do to make those sites more marketable. They've been really helpful.
Yeah, they've brought in a lot of national site selectors and showcased Quad Cities, and Eldridge hasn't been involved in those tours. We've got a lot of prime industrial ground here and they're showing it to people.
Did you say Eldridge has not been involved in this?
No, it has
Oh,
been,
it has, I'm sorry.
yeah.
I was like,
We're
that did not make
actually-
sense with what you're saying after.
They hired, I think it was in 2023, they hired Hickey Global to do a regional study, and the QUIA property on South First Street was the top site in the region.
We had
It was an Eldridge
two in the
study.
top 10?
Yeah, we had 2 in the top 10, another one was one of the Avery sites. So,
No, they're a good outfit. They went through a leadership change here in the last 18 months. It's been very positive for the Quad City area. The only problem I have with them is it's per capita. Like the library, I'd rather they have just flat fee.
Yeah.
I mean, I disagree with the way the library's funded on the per capita. That's because of Alcoa.
I say stick with them, I mean, they've done well, let's keep on.
Yeah, no, it's just, I have no problem with the dollar amount, I just, on how they do it, I would
Right.
just take the per capita, here's the dollar amount.
The other line item in community development would be that, the one that ends in 6610, the plan and zone expense. So that pays any board of adjustment expenses. And then last year we had put 50,000 in there for a contribution that was passed by the council in a resolution of support for Eldridge Fields development. They were going to apply to this, or they did apply to the state for workforce housing tax credits. Their application did not get funded last year, but they do want to submit an application again this year. Their development is proposing 2 50-unit buildings and 1 30-unit building. 30 or 20? 30.
30, yeah.
So this year, when they submit their application to make it more competitive, rather than doing the 1 building at 50 units, they want to do the first 2 buildings at 100 units, which would require our matching contribution to be 100,000 instead of 50. We do have that 50,000 from fiscal year 26 that will roll over since they did not get awarded that funding. So we could fund the additional 50 if there's support from the council to support their application for this year at the 100 units. But we would also have some other funds available in sales tax. I think that would be able to cover that. And so there's other funding options available too. But we will need to consider a resolution of support for their application at the 100 units for the $100,000 match.
Do they feel like they're gonna have a better shot of being successful with this model that they're going for this year instead?
Yes, they do feel it'll be a more competitive application by doing that, the 100 units. And they have had quite a few projects get funded through that program, not in Eldridge obviously, but in other communities. So I think there's a high likelihood that they would get awarded the funding. But they do feel like it would be more competitive for them to do 100 units right off the bat.
I did some rough calculations on our tax revenue for that, and it should be close to $60,000 a year to just be our share. So by the time they get to full assessed value, we're looking at, probably our investment being paid off.
So basically, we carry over the 50 and then we're budget neutral.
Yeah.
Why would we
We'll
not
put
do
it
that?
in there again, yeah. I mean, it's a good project
Yeah,
for
why would we not do it? And it's, because we're looking at $1,000 per unit.
When do you expect this to come on the agenda?
So, I wanted to bring it up tonight so that we could get that on, hopefully the agenda for the next March meeting or, even the first meeting in April. Their deadline for submitting that application is June 1st, I believe. Or right around, sometime in the very beginning of June.
A bit of history on this. The first time we're in discussion, and the first key employees of that group filed it with the state anyways, even though we hadn't approved it. So then they brought in Paul Buffelli into that group, who was well respected around here, then we approved it 50,000. I'm just comfortable with the 50,000 period, that group. If we generate 60,000, there's a lag on the tax, so we're gonna be carrying that for 2.5 years. Taxpayers will have to carry that.
Yeah, without the commitment, $1,000 per unit is required, you know, for them to apply.
So if we
without
don't
the
provide
$100,000,
$1,000 per unit,
then they can't apply
submit for
for
100 units.
Correct.
They can submit for 50.
Right, but
Well,
it's not gonna be as competitive of an application, that's what we've just heard.
I'm sure that's what they're telling us, but should the tax,
Well, is there a reason for us not to believe them?
last time we stood behind 50,000.
Yeah, I got that.
But that's what they were offering. I think this time we treat it the same as a new offer and we've got new members on the council. I think we start from scratch and do it all over again the way we did it last time.
Well, we have to
Fair
start
way.
all over.
Yeah, I'm just saying for
Right.
topic of discussion on the background information and the history.
I would agree.
I mean, their offer would be better if we even did more than 100,000. But in order for them to apply, we have to do a minimum of 1,000
Yeah,
per year.
minimum of 1,000.
Right.
They're telling us their application could be more competitive at 100 units.
If we did 2,000 a unit, their application would even look better. I'm not advocating that.
Yeah, I get that, and they're not asking that, so why would we do it?
I wouldn't.
So then why are we talking about it?
We're just talking, it puts them in a better position in their opinion. You know,
Except,
how much do we want to put on the taxpayers for 2 years? Not get a return.
yeah, I look at it as a net zero in the budget. We're carrying over 50,000 and then we're budgeting another 50,000 to get to have an opportunity at 100 affordable units within the city. Yeah, I understand that we get the 60,000 that we're gonna have to carry over for, what'd you say, 2.5 years. I don't think that's a huge burden. Seems to make sense to me.
Affordable,
And it's not a guarantee.
in round numbers, affordable units to them is $1,200, $1,500 a month.
Well, I think that's pretty affordable in today's market.
I think it was a little bit higher than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't, I
think
didn't
it was like
determine it as
1,800 for-
affordable,
There
but
was a
that's,
range.
Yeah.
but that's a whole nother day for discussion.
Met the workforce affordable housing, so it qualifies as affordable housing, not low income, but workforce, median level income.
I mean, what I see for what people pay now, they're paying in rent what I've never paid in my entire life in mortgage. What's happened over the course of the last 5 years to rent across the country has just been crazy, not to mention right here in our own community, so. I'd be supportive of the
But I
100.
think that's the whole Iowa region though, is it not?
Yeah, well,
Well,
Countrywide.
we're, according to the Rock Island Housing Authority, we just in the Quad Cities metro area are short 6,500 housing units as it is. If we could get 100 of those here within the Eldridge city limits, well, that would put a nice dent in our community. I don't know do we have numbers as to what our shortage is here?
we haven't, no.
Because we don't have
run
anybody
a
who's
study, yeah.
pulling that data.
Right.
I would have to assume that we could make a pretty sizable dent in what the need is
In
here.
the Quad City region, I don't disagree. We built, Ray just said at 76 units here in Eldridge last year, and that doesn't count about the big complexes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a shortage here, there's an affordability problem here, but not a shortage.
We'll discuss this when it comes up later. Okay.
Good context, though, thank you, I appreciate it.
City council, budget, nothing changed there, a little lower in the ECRs, we don't have, many for our city council or board that have IFRS taken from their checks, so I think we've been under that amount the last several years. Going into the administration, 001611. Probably the biggest change, most of this was just operational, no major increases. The insurance, the amount transferred to insurance self-funding, I decreased that this year by about 30,000. The reason for that being that we have built up a significant amount of reserves in our self-insurance fund, and our claims have been lower than projected for the last 3 years, considerably lower for the last 2. So we've got a significant amount of reserves to cover those claims right now, so we don't need to keep dumping money into that fund when we could probably fund those claims with our reserves for at least the next couple of years. So dropping that transfer down to 70,000.
And we're fully self-funded on all healthcare?
No, we have, Wellmark Blue Cross Blue Shield at a $5,000 deductible, for our plan, and then we buy it down with EBS, Employee Benefit Systems, to $600 for the deductible for family and $100 for individual.
Wow.
Yeah, and we don't actually, I would say we don't really pay a significant amount, at least from my perspective, in that self-insurance claim funding. Our claims have dropped, our premiums have actually dropped 20% last fiscal year, and then this most recent fiscal year, we went down another 14% in our premiums because our claims have been low.
Do you have is there a cap on claims before like a retrocession kicks in place?
Yeah, so, I mean, essentially when they hit the point of where that $5,000 deductible from the Wellmark kicks in.
So everything above 5,000, is that what you're saying?
Everything under 5,000 from that deductible amount, so from 600 to 5,000 for family, and from 100 to 5,000 for single.
Jeff, basically, we're subsidizing the insurance costs for the employees.
No, I run a self-funded plan, I know how they work.
Yeah.
We're not part of the captive, are we?
No.
Okay. Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
I'd like to
Yeah,
have
we're
that
hanging on to
insurance.
that, yeah,
I would love to have that insurance.
yeah. They work hard to keep it too. I mean, our employees are good about coming to the insurance meetings and working with our broker to understand them and to work hard to keep the claims low so that we can keep getting good news.
So is there a third-party administrator then that
Yes.
manages claims?
Yeah,
Who does
that's,
that?
so we have Employee Benefit Systems, and then we use,
Carrie Casper.
yeah, but
That's
I think it is just EBS.
Yeah, it's just EBS
It
who
was-
processes the claims. We have someone else who actually pays them in
Yeah.
terms of that.
That's who your TJ
Zealous?
is, yeah.
It's not Zealous. Why
It's
is
called
it- I
Echo
can't
now.
think of, yes,
Yeah.
Echo,
Okay,
Yeah.
But our administrator is EBS.
yes.
thank you.
So nothing else major in the administrative fund, everything was just basic operating, increases and projections. Moving into the finance, which is the 620 fund.
Now, that is the intern coming out of the administrative expenditures? Because didn't we agree to have a summer intern for 2 years, 3 years?
We have not agreed to anything for this upcoming year. We had last summer was approved, and then we got approved for the winter break.
Is that something you want to do again, or is that in here?
I don't know that we've gotten to the point of talking through that yet, but I would imagine, I mean, if the opportunity's there, we would bring that forward, but I think I have that listed as kind of our supplemental budget request items.
Okay.
In the finance expenditures, you'll see the wage increase for finance above that 3% that is contracted. That is to account for the extra wages to cover the deputy clerk position. We also have a budgeted 10% increase in our general insurance. That's just our standard guidance from our agent for budgeting. We do have our insurance meeting coming up, and I know through our communications with him recently, I don't expect that we will have that large of an increase. But we're projecting for what our renewals will be for next year, so we'll still keep that 10% in there just to cover.
Does he, when you meet with him then, does he come back with a model analysis based on the current year and how it trends for how it looks like it's trending for the future?
He does. I don't know that we necessarily get all of his detailed breakdown, but he gives us that general, and he includes that factor in there.
You probably have all the details stuff and make it all sleep down, okay.
We can share that out when we have it too. He usually puts it into a summary and shows line by line from last year to this year and what factors were considered in the renewal rate.
I'd appreciate seeing
he
that
does a good
third
job.
job review. I'd like to see that when the time comes. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we've also got increased publishing and posting just based on calculation from prior years and projections for upcoming years, just more frequent publications, publishing some of the minutes that we weren't publishing before from other boards that through our audit and compliance, we found that we need to be publishing those as well, and then just the cost of postage just increasing in all of our mailings that go out. Legal service, it is looking, I did budget 20,000 more from last year. I don't anticipate that will be much higher than this year. We will not have negotiations going on, and I would anticipate that we will not, that we'll have fewer active litigation cases. But we do have a steady increase in public records requests, which take a considerable amount of time, and we do have our attorney review each of those before they go out, just to make sure we don't miss anything. So I still budgeted an increase just to cover those. If we stand to that, great.
So you're saying you're not expecting, because of a reduced amount of either pre or current litigation, but based on the FOIA requests, you're expecting to see an increase in overall legal services?
We have a pretty steady ongoing review process with our city attorney because of the public records requests, that I would still imagine that between those and some of our still pending litigation that will not be resolved in this fiscal year, I put that 20 in.
I see.
But aside from those two things, we will have a decrease. We won't have those negotiations, which is a big time of service from the city attorney when we have those going on, because we have both contract negotiations at the same time, and then we did close out several litigation.
So 6410 then is the labor relations piece of it, is that right? So that's for the negotiations?
Correct.
All right.
Yep.
I got that.
And then we didn't put anything yet into general equipment replace, leaving that for the supplemental budget requests. Park board, we can walk through that at the next budget meeting. If you guys prefer to have Tony come back for that, we certainly can bring him back, otherwise I can go through that budget too. And then we already went through community policing when Chief was here. So moving on to road use. Road use, each year we get paid on per capita from the state, and they give us, we do budget workshops with the Iowa League of Cities each year. They give us the numbers for what we will expect for per capita for our road use. So this year we are looking at 140 per capita for fiscal year 27. And that's up from $1 or 139.50 cents the year before, so just very minimal increase, but an increase nonetheless. Tony covered most of the line items when he was here for the streets portions, but we do have two projects that we have not talked about yet. We have the Fellner's Edition, which was already approved for fiscal year 27 for South 25th and South 26th Street. Those plans will be coming forward on the next meeting and being prepared to go out to bid in April. And then we've also plugged in $63,000 for North First Street asphalt, and that was a joint project request. Scott County reached out to us. We applied for some STBG funding last year. We did not get chosen for that. Scott County has decided to move ahead using their farm to market funding to do that project, and asked if we wanted to join that project with them to cover our share, which is about 0.2 miles right in front of Sheridan Meadows Park, which would be approximately $63,000. So we did plug that in for consideration, pending approval by the council.
I think didn't we previously approve to go along with the county on that project?
We approved to go in on the application for funding, but not to fund it out of our budget.
I thought we committed X amount of dollars because we had a percentage of that distance.
No,
I think we did a verbal commitment to partner with them according to that. I just don't remember actual numbers, haven't been plugged in at the time.
Yeah, we did agree to go in on the application, and there was kind of a cost projection if we got awarded what that might cost. And that, so that wasn't budgeted in at that time, that came up mid-fiscal year. This year it would just be coming out of our road use tax funds.
Well, next year they're gonna do, maybe it's this year, LeClaire Road, from Cody Road all the way out to
That's this year, I believe.
Wells
Yeah.
Ferry.
I believe
Is
they're
it
doing
wonder
that
if it's
this year.
too late to try to get the stretch from Scott Park Road to Cody Road in that?
Tony talked to him about that, and by the time we found out about it, we were too late to be a part of that project, yeah.
What'd you say the distance was in the 63,000?
I think it's about 0.2 miles. I can get you that.
That's okay, just a question.
Maybe they do a change order.
All right, moving on to sales tax. So for projected revenue, I have 1.3 million. I estimated about a 2.1% decrease from the previous year, just based on the projections and the information that was shared with us at the League of Cities budget workshop. They have said that the past few years, they haven't seen that reduction yet, but I still like to just be cautious in projecting those revenues to account for that decrease, and then if we bring in more, great.
I'm sorry, I keep asking questions, I
No, it's
apologize. So why are they predicting a decrease in the League of Cities?
The economy, the consumer price index, there were, they basically advised us to be as conservative as possible. It's not a crystal ball, and they just gave, a general idea, and they were saying, obviously it's not one formula doesn't apply to all in the state of Iowa, but they just advised us to be conservative with our numbers.
It's that local option that we have for 1% sales tax on everything, so, yeah.
Jeff, that's based on Scott County.
Oh, it's only based on Scott County?
It's all based on entire Scott County, then we get our portion of it.
Got it, okay.
So the TIF on Elmore changed it a little bit at one time.
We've also got budgeted coming, 300,000 coming in from our TIF to reimburse us for the intersection project. That number may fluctuate. Our TIF fund was deficit last year at the end of our fiscal year based on some calculations on TIF rebates that were miscalculated like 2 fiscal years ago. So we're playing catch up on that, and to keep our TIF fund positive at the end of the fiscal year, we may end up transferring less in from TIF into our sales tax, and then certifying that next year to the county and recovering it, and then transferring more into the sales tax next year, just to keep that TIF fund in the positive.
Plus, if people don't pay their property taxes, it affects that.
It affects the
If
TIF.
somebody doesn't pay their property tax, we have a deficit in our revenues because of that.
So our TIF, we should get whatever amount we certified, that we won't see a reduction in that from property taxes because it's carved out of the TIF district, and we're provided what's been certified before anything is shared between our portion of those funds for the city and our regular general fund and the other taxing agencies in our district.
How big is that delinquency in property tax?
I believe it's 40,000. Or, I'm sorry, did you ask in the TIF fund, or were you asking?
How many people are delinquent in paying?
Oh, gosh.
I don't see a lot here, surprisingly. I mean, I came from Eau Claire, and so there was monthly delinquent, but so far I have not caught any in the few months that I've been here. So we've got a big payment coming up next month, so maybe there will be for the March payables, or the receipts, but that's not something that I was actually surprised by that. So.
Because there is some.
Our budgeted revenues for taxes have met, we budget conservatively enough, I guess, for our revenues too, that we have not come in under that as a result of delinquent tax payments Yeah,
Yeah, but
not that
suppose,
we can't, but we haven't.
I suppose that budgeting, if you're, for a municipality like this, has gotta be, not that it's easier, but it's consistent. You get pretty high predictability.
Yep.
Okay.
So for the expenditures for sales tax, I did just plug in some general numbers, but I haven't, allocated the funds in sales tax yet. That is usually pretty specific project-based, typically. So those will be the priorities that the council chooses for fiscal year 27 and what projects they want to commit those funds to. I do want to just talk about the transfer to the community center. The fiscal year 26 budgeted is 16,000. I took that out for the estimated, and I'm looking for direction from council on whether or not you want that left in there, with those operations ceasing. And I did not budget anything for that budget for fiscal year 27 for the community center operations.
We'll have to have something in there, you know, a minor amount, just if we don't rent it or don't sell it, we'll have just maintenance costs and heating costs and,
Something to keep the building alive.
yeah.
But well, I don't know this for a fact, but it wouldn't be to the tune of 16,000, I assume, no.
I mean,
It'd be 2,500 a month, I think, just usually from Alliant.
if those aren't on, it'll be
Oh, right.
considerably lower.
Correct.
Yeah, because you're
I think we
gonna
just
have
let
those at the
the,
bare minimum.
let the 16,000 run for now.
Possible
And if we have to look at
repair.
other alternatives to fund it, if we go into a deficit, then
That makes
look at
sense.
some
Yeah,
emergency
at
funding.
some point, we'll have to zero that out.
Yeah,
I think it's too early to
yeah.
spend time worrying about it.
So you're comfortable leaving 16,000?
To transfer over for this year, you want the 16,000 to
I think
go?
that's what I'm hearing, is that right?
I think it's just as easy to move it, and if we don't need it or use it all, or if the building leases, or,
I think that's to get us just to zero, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
We'd still be above zero if we didn't transfer it over, just based on my projections. We'd be just, I think we'd probably have about 5,000 left in there. And, I mean, that's, again, just projections, but based on what's in there for reserves.
I would probably just not transfer the 16,000, then if we're gonna have 5,000 on your projections. If it goes over that, then the following year we can adjust that.
I'm confused. So we just talked about why wouldn't we just have the 16,000 roll over? Because we're probably gonna have maintenance costs, not in the numbers that you were talking about just from a line, but probably gonna have maintenance costs just to keep the building alive in case it doesn't lease or sell.
But Nevada just said we'll have at least 5,000, or projection is
That's not
5,000.
gonna be enough, is it?
So we're looking at 2 different fiscal years too. So if we don't transfer anything in 16 and you want to put some in for 17, we can do that to cover expenses. Or we can transfer in the 16 and not put anything in for fiscal year 27 and use the additional funds that are transferred out from fiscal year 26 to cover. So there's options for
Okay, in that case, I think I probably agree with Brian for now.
just transfer over the 16. Do we want to budget it?
No, not transfer it.
Yeah, not transfer it, utilize the 5 that's already there and then wait and deal with it later if necessary.
Right.
Right.
Do we want to budget anything for fiscal year 27 to be moved into there? We won't have any service revenue coming in, but there may be a lease agreement, may not.
that's
Where
where,
you want to take a small portion, just in case something occurs.
We'll know more in
Precisely,
a couple of weeks.
so just in case we have bad weather coming, we may need a shelter
Well, if you
for the community, so.
want something like that, transfer 5,000. So we have 10,000
I agree with that.
That's fair for you.
instead of,
Maybe you can always pull extra if needed.
There you go.
and if we don't use it,
then where are you gonna go with the other 11,000?
So transfer 5,000 for fiscal year 26 instead of the 16?
yes.
Then, so since it's budgeted to come out of sales tax, that 11,000 will just roll over in sales tax unless you wanted to I mean, we don't have anything transferring unless you wanted to put it in bugs.
I'll just leave it sales tax for now, because that gives us the most flexibility.
I'd like to put sidewalks in.
26 or 27.
And then we'll get through hotel tax. So for hotel tax, the projected revenue this year is 37,000. So I budgeted in 10,000 to cover the $5,000 Moonlight Chase, the contribution that we've provided to help with some of the chamber costs for the Moonlight Chase. The 5,000 is for Public Works supplies and resources that they use during that festival to be able to provide services. The flowers we dropped to 1,750. We had a contract last year with Little Red Barn Greenhouse to do our downtown flowers. And I believe that was 1,500, so I just put in a couple extra hundred to cover that if they're gonna have her continue to do that this year, and then to balance it out, the rest went into professional services. Again, this would be community center transfer question, same situation as the sales tax. Do we want to transfer anything to the community center for fiscal year 26 or 27?
Thoughts?
Takes us back to the same question.
Yeah, we don't really know.
Well, it's a shell game, you could leave all that stuff in the sales tax and take that 5,000 out of here, because that's community development.
Is there any benefit to taking it out of here over the sales tax?
The sales tax, we have a lot more flexibility what we can use for it. Hotel, motel, we're restricted.
So you're recommending take the 5,000 out of the hotel tax, take the 16,000 that's in sales tax and
Leave it, sales tax.
leave it sales tax.
You said the 5,000 out of
I'm
hotel.
fine with that.
Yep.
If that gives us more flexibility, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I think
you
that's, flexibility is important, because
Okay, good plan.
Yvette, are you planning on the flowers on LeClaire Road still getting either the Moonlight Chase or the other group that split that cost, or is that in?
The service organizations that were doing the flowers on LeClaire Road aren't doing them anymore. The baskets, I believe
The Moonlight Chase grant does the basket.
But they paid for half of it.
Flavors too, right?
what was that, half of that cost?
I just wonder if we shouldn't increase the flowers a few $100s more, just to cover LeClaire Road. I think it looks nice, and it's a nice entrance to our city with them up.
for the baskets.
Yeah.
I believe they're still planning on doing the baskets.
There may be another service group willing to take that off.
For the hanging baskets, it's been our team doing that. The ones that were in the medians and along the edges, there were service organizations doing those, and they are not doing those, and we've removed those medians too.
I'm talking about the hanging baskets. Didn't the Moonlight Chase pay for half, and the Lions or somebody pay for the other half?
And I think the Lions and the Rotary Club covered exactly what she was just talking about. The islands, the medians, are what those two service organizations handle.
We covered the other ones.
Yeah.
We covered the hanging.
But is that
baskets.
in the 1750?
The 1750 is for the downtown.
Right, that's what I'm saying, should we add that to cover LeClaire Road?
Well, LeClaire Road's gonna be covered. How's LeClaire Road covered? Because the service organizations didn't cover those hanging baskets.
The Moonlight Chase gave $1,000 to that, whether that covered the whole amount or not, I assume that it did.
I thought council had to prove the difference.
Yeah, I can't remember for sure, I can check on that for,
Even with the hanging baskets, the flowers, the line for the flowers has not been over 1,500 the past
So you-
3 fiscal years.
So you've increased another $250. You're probably good.
Okay.
You're probably good. Pretty intense discussion about flowers out here.
Well, I think Steve Gromas paid for half of it 1 year or two.
That's been a while though.
Yeah.
Well, I think the important thing is, and we've talked to a lot of community members that wanna see a beautification of our town. They're tired of seeing things in disarray, and those little things like the flowers and cleaning up the beds, they lead to other people taking care of their property, and
They do make a difference.
I agree, it puts out a good, feel-good image.
It's one of our gateways into the community.
Yep, for sure.
I know I was, heartbroken to see that the islands went away, but, I mean, we floated the idea off of them. That's right there.
That was a safety concern.
Well, I understood that, but I mean, it's, if we're looking at some, and they're sure they're good to bring it up, reach out to them.
I know somebody that's involved with them.
I can ask them.
I think you're fine at 1750.
I think for now, yeah.
So the other funds that we have left to kind of go through would be, our TIF funds, which are very, straightforward, our capital, which would be our park improvement funds, and then just going through the community center funds. And so getting kind of to the end of that, do we need a special committee of the whole for March 16th?
We gotta go through it, right? We gotta talk about it.
Yeah, it will have to be, the budget will have to be adopted in April and to the state by April 30th. So if we can get it wrapped up in the April committee of the whole, we can do that. We can schedule a committee of the whole on March 16th and then be ahead of the game for that, because we will also need to figure out what we're putting those extra funds to. I know I've made note of some of the priority topics as sidewalk infill. We've got public facilities project, we have fire department, Sheridan Meadows Pond project is at a point where we can start building and establishing a capital fund for that, which we could take the money that had originally been transferred for the community center and establish the pond project fund for that, so we can get that project going. So those are some of, we still need to figure out what those projects and what the supplemental budget items from the departments are going to be funded this year.
I think a committee of the whole on the 16th, that makes sense.
I'd rather be ahead of it than wait until the last minute and not get a hiccup.
Scott, I won't be here on the 16th.
Nor will I. I'll be out of town, unfortunately.
No, the 17th would work.
I can get through your input and things, because you'll have these funds, and then I can share that, because, I mean, there will be committee of the whole, so there won't be any decisions made on it. If we want to go that
Scott,
way.
Brian, and Adrian, you plan on being on the 16th?
Yeah.
I may not, unless there's a virtual option where I can attend, or especially for the council, if we do need a quorum, if that would be a possibility.
For virtual.
Yeah.
We can do that. Too, yeah.
I still won't be.
No, if we're okay,
But then we
if
do-
we're okay with quorum, don't worry about it, but we do, so.
We're gonna need, we'll need a quorum, because Jeff.
And then I'd be more than happy to participate virtually or via phone, yes.
Or I'd be willing to have a council, to that council meeting on the 17th versus on Tuesday instead of Monday.
That's not gonna work out, that's St. Patrick's Day.
Why not?
There's more important things to.
Gotta have priorities, I understand.
Will we have 3 people here for council that night? Because I know we won't have Jeff and we won't have Brian.
If Brian, if Adrian does it virtually, but we don't know.
Monday for sure I'll be here, I can be here Tuesday, so either one's.
Monday the
Tuesday-
16th, you will be here. Monday the 16th? Will you be here for council?
As for right now, no.
Okay.
So
You don't have
So-
quorum.
that's why I'm saying if I'm needed, yeah, please send me an email or give me a call, please.
If we could do virtual, we could move it to the
18, or
then the following, the 23rd. I know the utility board is gonna be on the 24th because they did not have. quorum
23rd would
for
work
their-
better with my schedule. I don't know what the
If
rest
it
of
would
the
help, I
council-
could probably step out and jump on for the council meeting virtually on the 16th, but I can't make that committee of the whole.
I'm done the 23rd. You wanna try for the 16th and not have a committee of the whole and just have the council meeting and see if you can if you can jump out?
I'll do everything I can to jump out.
Adrian, can you
I'll
be
figure it
virtual
out.
on the 16th?
Yes,
just for the council meeting?
yes.
I'll try
I
that.
think you have to be online the entire meeting in order
To
to vote.
vote, yeah.
Right,
Precisely.
and maybe they won't be able, do we have
That's
it on the
fine,
regular,
Mayor.
we have it on the regular agenda?
I don't anticipate a lot,
Okay, let's shoot for that, let's shoot for the 16th, Adrian and Jeff can do virtual if possible, and we'll try to keep the agenda minuscule.
Short and sweet.
do we need to bring Tony
5
back
minutes or
for
less.
sewer or parks, or are you guys comfortable with me walking through that?
I think it's good.
Fine with that.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm pretty familiar with parks and.
All right,
Your Honor, I make a motion for adjournment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Give it to Adrian. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Just a couple seconds to get organized here.
Then I'm sorry you guys missed the meeting, so I'm gonna ask you to leave.
You guys all signed in?
Yes.
Good, it's all monitored.